The Maids from 1975 is a dark comedy starring Glenda Jackson and Susannah York. They play sisters who are maids to a mistress who they don't really like, and they take this to the degree that they role play as either one of the maids and the mistress and try to insult each other as much as they possibly can. This movie is based on a play, so it takes place mostly in one room, and there's a ton of dialogue of the sisters and the mistress herself just having conversations or trying to roleplay and insult each other. Now, if you watch the trailer for this movie, it makes it look like a thriller, and there is kind of a Hitchcock element of a plot to actually harm the mistress that goes on between the two sisters. But for me, I really, really enjoyed this movie as a kind of strange, campy comedy where the two actresses, especially Glenda Jackson as Solange, just ham it up and really chew the scenery. And I think this movie really works as a commentary on the roles we play, whether it's the role of the maids as their job and vocation, or the roles they play as each other or the mistress when they're role playing. And as you get further into the movie, those roles become less and less clear. This film is viewed as being particularly transgressive due to the, let's say, energy between Solange and Claire. How this movie makes you feel is going to be up to you. I just found it to be so fantastically weird, and I just love the interactions between these three women and the way they delivered each line. It's fun, it's weird. I really enjoyed it, and as soon as it was over, I ordered the Blu-ray so I can watch it again. Metropolis from 1927 is the classic Fritz Lang silent film that I've been wanting to watch for years, but I only pepper in silent films here and there. I do love them a lot when I actually watch them, which is funny because as a modern movie watcher, you sometimes think, I'm not going to enjoy that silent film, but every single one that I've watched, I've thoroughly enjoyed. Metropolis was no exception to this, and I did watch the 2008 restoration with the discovered footage that is questionable in quality, but it helps fill in some gaps in the story. And what a story it is. It's a futuristic sci-fi kind of society where the oligarchy, or the extremely rich and powerful, live above ground and the workers live below ground in very dangerous conditions. And when the son of one of these wealthy elites ventures into the underground, he falls in love with a woman that he sees named Maria, played by Brigitte Helm, and he decides to swap places with one of the workers so he can get closer to her and also understand what their life is like as workers. Things really get crazy when an inventor creates a machine man to disrupt the quote-unquote balance between the underground and the above-ground societies. Meanwhile, our main character struggles to forge an understanding between the two groups. And at this point, I've talked a lot more about the plot of this movie than I usually do, and I have barely scratched the surface. It is wild, almost unbelievable to think that a movie with these kind of special effects and visuals and all the tricks they had to use with the technology at the time from almost 100 years ago can be as moving or more moving and insightful and thoughtful and visually pleasing and stimulating than a lot of movies that are out today. And I don't say that to be a hipster. I really mean it. I really found myself entrenched in this movie and hanging on every scene to see how this would play out. Like our main character, I was absolutely captivated by Brigitte Helm's performance as Maria and as another character who I won't spoil. And she plays both characters with incredible spirit and gusto. My only regret with watching this movie is that I watched it on an airplane. I was traveling for business and I put this movie on my tablet thinking, well, I'm going to be stranded on an airplane. Might as well throw a long silent film on there and I'll be forced to pay attention to it. But again, there was no need for that, and I can't wait to watch this again on a bigger screen. It is unreal how good this movie is. Duel from 2022 stars Karen Gillan and Aaron Paul and was directed by Riley Stearns, and this is one of those those situations where I said, where have I heard that name before? And Riley Stearns directed the movie Faults, which is one of my favorites that I've seen in the past couple of years. So it makes sense that I also enjoyed Duel quite a bit, though in my opinion it's nowhere as good as Faults. But they're both worth checking out, and I really want to check out The Art of Self-Defense now because that's his top rated movie on Letterboxd. In this film, Karen Gillan plays a woman who has a terminal illness and is offered a chance to clone herself so her family can live on with the clone and not experience the loss of her. When she finds out that she's in complete remission after her clone is already created, she must engage in a duel to the death with the clone to see who will survive. Now, while I would say Duel is not as good of a movie as Faults, it's definitely weirder and the performance is much stranger, which I really appreciated. I've seen a lot of criticisms of Karen Gillan's performances in this movie, but I would totally disagree with them because it is a movie that leans into its weirdness. This movie exists in an uncanny valley of conversation points, social norms, the way people act with each other, which makes sense because in this world you can make a clone of yourself if you're going to die. So it's already an outlandish sci-fi concept. So I really appreciate that while they play it straight, they play it very odd and weird with the performances and with some other things that are going on. Aaron Paul is in this movie as a trainer, a cut rate cheap trainer who's going to train our main character to fight the clone. And I thought their chemistry was great. I thought the chemistry between Karen Gillan and herself as the clone was also great. And as far as the concept of identity goes, which is obviously a huge theme in this movie, many people have argued that the movie is open-ended, despite, on my first viewing, kind of figuring that everything was laid out pretty clearly. So this movie might have some tricks up its sleeve, and I'm going to have to go and watch this one again as well. I talked about Series 7, The Contenders, a few episodes back, so if you're looking for something that's like Infinity Pool meets Series 7, The Contenders, you should definitely check out Duel. And that's going to do it for this episode. If you like these short movie reviews that I do, please check out the playlist on my channel. Thank you very much for watching until the end, and I'll see you on the next one.